I'm going to be doing my makeup while we talk about my ex-flatmates. Starting off with brows. We were a flat of 3 and then one person moved out, so we got a couple to move in. I think I was really naive as to like how to, I guess, like judge like whether or not somebody would be a good flatmate as opposed to whether or not they would just be like people that I'd be friends with, I suppose, because they seemed really cool when I first like met up with them and stuff. But it is important to note that I didn't, like, obviously when I thought they were cool and stuff, I did not know about pretty much all of the things that I am going to be talking about. So as we were getting them to move in, they were telling, so it was a couple, let's call the guy A and the girl B, right? So A was basically telling us how they had been through so many flats already. They had been dating for about 3 to 4 years, I think. And within those 3 to 4 years, they had already been through about, I think, 7 or 8 flats. So I was like, maybe you're the problem. And he was like, no, like, we did nothing wrong. We did nothing to, like, kind of, like, explain this. Like, we paid rent on time. We paid rent, like, ahead of time. We paid everything on time. And, like, we weren't, like, an issue or anything. That was a fucking lie. Because I will give them the fact that they did pay rent on time, but when it came to utilities and when it came to the bond, it was begging, pleading, shitting ourselves, crying, like pissing our pants. And also just the level of entitlement that they had was a bit cray-cray. Like, obviously, I'm perfectly fine with, like, everyone using my stuff, right, as long as it gets, like, returned to me. Like, I don't care if you eat my food, just, like, let me know, and if it's something that I, like, genuinely wanted for myself, you can go get me another one. Like, gaff, like, truly, madly, deeply gaff. You can use my pots, my pans, my cutlery, my bowls, my plates, literally everything. But just like be respectful about it. I remember the washing machine was mine. It was an old washing machine. It was secondhand. It was like it was bound to fall apart at some point, and it fell apart. And the guy kept like nagging me about when I was gonna get a new washing machine, and I was like, bestie, like fucking, I don't know, like I was genuinely wanting another one, but now that you're being fucking irritating, do I want to buy another one? Not really, no. I told him, I was like, there's like a laundromat nearby, and he was like asking me where. This is in real time, by the way. Motherfucker, search it up. Like, you have Google Maps on your phone. Like, it's really, like, oh my god. And so I fucking went onto Google Maps on my phone and like screenshotted it for him and sent it into the group chat, and he was like, it's too far to walk and too much to Uber. Because they didn't have a car at this point. That's not my problem. That's not my problem. I also just think it's so interesting how, like, they wanted, like, this new set of kitchen knives, right? And we didn't want those kitchen knives because we had kitchen knives, and then he was like, oh, but they're not sharp enough. Well, like, one of them was brand spanking new, but whatever. And again, they were my kitchen knives. But he so desperately wanted all of us to, like, come together to, like, split these kitchen knives. And we were like, we don't really want the kitchen knives. And he was like, no, guys, we really need, like, these are blunt as fuck. One's literally fucking unused, but whatever. And so I just find it really interesting how when it comes to the set of kitchen knives that only he wants, like, we don't really want it. We should all come together to split these kitchen knives for him. Like, and it's also just, like, fucking weird. Like, how would we split the kitchen knives when we move out? Like, it's just gonna create fucking issues. When it comes to a washing machine, which everyone wants, suddenly I have to foot it. And when we were moving out, we were both moving out around similar times, so we were all packing everything, they were packing everything. I, the owner of the bowls and the plates and the pots and the pans, put the bowls and the plates and the pots and the pans away. And he was like, where are all, like, the plates and stuff? Like, there's not a single thing to use in this house other than, like, cutlery, which was still like, just, I don't know. I feel like if you are using, like, somebody else's literally everything that you're living off of is somebody else's, just be a bit more respectful. You do not own the thing. I could have just not let you use it. Truly, madly, deeply, I could have just not let you use my stuff. But I did. So why are you being an asshole? They were also just super fucking gross. And this is what I mean when, like, I say there is absolutely no way that they weren't the problem. Literally, like, about a week in of them living with us, they got maggots in the rug. And again, it was a rug that we provided. Everything in the room was out. Like, it was my mattress. The bed was mine. All, like, the drawers and, like, the bedside tables and all that kind of stuff. The rug was also provided by my flatmate. It was just, everything was ours. They got maggots in the rug, which we didn't charge them for, so we threw away the rug. And they were like, oh, I have no clue how this happened. Like, they must have been there before. Like, there's no way. There's, like, we literally haven't done anything. Like, we don't do any, like, like, they had to have just been there. Like, there's no way. The room was vacant for a month before they even moved in. We've never had a problem with maggots before. All of a sudden, a week after they move in, maggots in the rug. And you're telling me that you're not the problem. Face up, bitch. Like, I remember this one encounter where, like, there were fruit flies in the house. So I was like, hey, guys, like, you know, I was in the kitchen, which, by the way, the amount of times I would step in the kitchen and I genuinely physically was not able to make food because, this circles back to the fucking, like, maggots thing. They were like, oh, there's no way it could have been us. Literally every single time I walked past their room, food on the floor, like, pizza boxes with pizza still in them, like, almost empty bowls and plates and shit just on the floor, like, which was, again, mine, and they're just there marinating in their grossness. And I want to remind y'all that these guys were, like, 20 years old, more or less. I was 17, 18 at the time. Why am I giving adults, like, instructions on how to fucking clean? I had to, like, literally write down a list of shit to clean, and, like, when I tell you the list was actually insane, because I couldn't just be, like, clean the bathroom. I had to be, like, write, clean bathroom, like, scrub toilet, like, wipe the sink, and, like, scrub the bathtub and shit like that. And they did that one time. Obviously, I did the list as well. Like, it wasn't just them doing the, like, I was the only one consistently cleaning, and it was after these grown-ass motherfuckers. No. And the amount of times that I'd walk into the kitchen and I just genuinely just couldn't have food at home, because all my bowls and plates were just in their room. And when I tell you, it's not like, I know I'm, like, one person, and, like, you know, everything I have, like, I'm used to not living with, like, a massive group of people. I don't think I've ever lived with, like, a massive group of people. But when I tell you that I have the most, I have a lot less now just because the place is a lot smaller. But I had, like, an absolutely crazy collection of just, like, kitchenware. And this was 2 people. They went through all my bowls, my plates, my forks, my spoons, my knives, my pans. I had, like, 3 pans. If I wanted to stack dishes in the kitchen, it just wasn't gonna happen because there were just constantly dishes filling up the kitchen. Like, it's how, like, it wasn't a small kitchen. Like, it's quite difficult for 2 people to stack dishes in the kitchen to the point where you don't have any room to stack more dishes, you don't have any room to cook. What I do for, you can't really see on camera, thank fuck, but what I do for, like, this concealed bit above my eyebrow is I mix this super light concealer with, like, a darker foundation situation, and it is entirely too dark, but you can't tell. So, slay. And there was this one time I remember where I was in the kitchen and it was again stacked with dishes. Obviously, like, not the worst it had been, but still, it was stacked with dishes that were my dishes. And when I tell you, we had every fucking breed of fly in this house. A came home, like, as I was in the kitchen, and I was like, hey, there's, flies all up in your, like, plate and your food and stuff. And he was like, oh, yeah, they were there they were there already. And just walked into his room. First of all, no, they weren't. Like, it's so interesting how ever since y'all moved in, we have so many of these insects, crawling around in our house and flying around our house. But according to you, they were already there. Very interesting. And also, even if, let's say they were already there, do you not want to mitigate the problem? Do you not want to make it better? Do you not want to, like, make sure that this doesn't fucking, like, escalate? So why are you just letting them be there and, like, have sex and breed on your plate, and, like, reproduce in our kitchen and just make the entire space, and communal space as well, so much worse? I also got this massive, massive stain in the carpet. It was, like, this, like, pink reddish kind of stain. It was from, like, a raspberry fizzy drink, and they didn't tell us. So when everyone was moving out, we got billed for it, which is another thing. They didn't pay fucking shit. They didn't pay their bond. When we first let them move in, they were just like, yeah, we're just, like, you know, in a bit of a situation, like, we're gonna need, like, a few months or weeks. They didn't say months, they said a few weeks. Actually, I could be lying about that. They might have said months. Regardless, they didn't fucking pay the bond. They paid about $400 worth of bond. I think the bond would have been $800 around there, and they paid $400 worth of that. And I was not in charge of the finances of the house, obviously, because I was an actual fucking child. But my flatmate basically let them have their bond back in advance because they needed it for their new bond, supposedly. Did they pay that either? I don't fucking know, but apparently they needed it for their new bond. So we gave it back in advance, and they genuinely didn't pay shit. They left the house in an absolute mess. They had birds, right? The birds weren't the problem. I want to repeat, the birds were not the problem. They had birds. There were bird feathers everywhere. There was bird shit everywhere. There was again the massive stain. There was just like the room was just so incredibly unclean. They also left us 5 like massive, like those big black rubbish bags. We were moving out about 2 weeks after them. So that's 2 like rubbish cycles. That's not, we can't do that in 2 rubbish cycles. So we ended up like hiring like a rubbish truck. Still didn't manage to get rid of all the fucking rubbish, and we got billed for that too. So anyway, on top of the bond situation, again, we had to absolutely like throw our shit across the wall in order to get them to pay utilities. Obviously they didn't pay their last months of utilities, which like, okay, yeah, it's only about $40, maybe $50 for the both of them. But like everything that they just left for us built up financially. Like all the rubbish that they left for us, that obviously built up financially. We had to spend so much time cleaning their shit, which we couldn't get done in time. And then just like not paying the utilities on top of that, fucks me off. Also, just as people, they weren't fantastic. So obviously when they were first like viewing the house and we were like deciding to let them in and stuff, they didn't really say anything that like raised flags or anything. As soon as we had confirmed that we were going to let them move in by whenever the fuck, all of a sudden there were N-words flying left, right, and center. And when I had a conversation with him about it, I was like, just don't say the N-word around me, because obviously I can't fucking tell him what to do. He's older than me, even though he won't fucking act like it and won't pick up his own shit, and can't wipe his own ass. But I was just like, don't say the N-word around me. Like, I'm not telling you what to do, just don't say it around me. And he was like, why? And he was like, is it because you have black friends? And I was just like, because it's fucking racist. What do you mean? And his response to that was, yeah, well, like, that kind of stuff doesn't really, like, exist anymore. Racism? Like, I don't know what he was, I don't know if he meant slavery in particular or racism. Either way, both still very much exist. That word very much still has impact. This man was also just straight up misogynistic. Oh, I haven't said much about the girl yet, B. I just want to say that as a flatmate, I think she sucked ass and that she was awful. But as a friend, like, I would totally be friends with her if I hadn't had, like, lived with her and stuff. But I think she was, like, a good cunt. But I didn't see her as, like, an awful person. Or, like, her issue was just, like, as a flatmate, like, she worked fuckful hours. She was on a part-time contract, and even then, she wouldn't go to work. So when I tell you she was probably at work an average of, like, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, I would say, like, 1.5 days a week. I mean that shit. And she fucking couldn't clean shit. Genuinely couldn't clean fuck all. Was literally at home all the fucking time. Which I didn't realize, like, when she first moved in. Obviously, like, when I can't, you know, see someone, when I can't hear someone, I just assume that they're, like, at work or something. Then I realized, like, no, she was literally just, like, in her room the entire time, like, watching videos and shit. Fucking do the dishes. But, like, we'll get to that, because that shouldn't all be her fault. But actually, we can get into it now. There was one time where she cooked for the flat. This was, like, the one and only time that she did it. So as a flat, again, like, I think she's a good person. Like, I think she has a really good heart, but, like, as a flatmate, living with her was an absolute mess, and, you know, with finances and, like, trying to manage grown adults in a household, trying to make them clean after themselves was awful. But she had cooked for us one night. The morning after, I was, like, doing the dishes, right? And A comes out, and he's like, oh, don't worry about that, B will do it. And I'm like, she just cooked for us. She just cooked for the entire flat. I'm not gonna make her do the dishes as well. And he's like, no, don't even worry about it. Like, she'll do it. Like, why are you doing it? Like, stop doing it. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, you do it then. And he was like, like, no, I already have to do so much shit. What do you do? What do you do other than, like, go to a job like a normal fucking person, come home and game? What do you do? Like, yeah, absolutely, B should be putting in a lot more work than she was, but, like, she shouldn't have to, like, literally look after you like a mother. And oh my god, I remember this one time he, like, posted this thing on his story where it was just like, you know, ladies, if you want, like, a provider, a man who works hard and shit like that, then be prepared to, like, do his laundry, like, clean up after him, like, you know, all this shit. When I tell you the amount of times this man was like, oh, work is literally so easy, like, half the time we literally just, like, get high in the bathrooms, like, all we do is, like, clean trucks. We, like, get high in the bathrooms, we clean trucks, and then we fuck around, like, that's it. Like, he would say that to me, to all of us, like, just talking about how fucking easy his job was. And you understand, like, he's such a hardworking man, he's such a provider, and he's, like, the breadwinner. Winning what bread? Because you can't pay utilities. What fucking braid? If any of y'all have life hacks on like how to do eyeliner with lashes, that would be greatly appreciated, because that's what I'm doing. Which works, actually, to be fair. I might actually be the genius. So you're welcome, I invented that. And there was also this one time where we were talking about I was talking about sex work with B, right? Because my friend and I were considering it, and I was just talking to B about it, about stripping in particular, and she was like, oh, he would never let me do that, which is fine, but the way that she said that to me was giving very much like, he has control of my body, and he will not allow me to do this with my body, rather than, this is a unanimous decision between the two of us, as we are in a partnership, because we are, you know, in a relationship, and therefore it is a decision that we have to make together, because it could be, you know, outside of people's boundaries. It was not like said like that. It was just like, he won't let me, essentially. I don't know if I'm making sense in the way that I'm trying to explain this. My friends were also over this one time, and we started having a conversation about this as well. He was part of the conversation because it was in the living room, and like at the beginning of it, like he did make somewhat valid points, in the sense that like in regards to OnlyFans, he was like, if like say 10-20 years ago somebody offered you like $15 for your nudes, you would have said no, but now because of OnlyFans, like you think that's reasonable, even though that isn't like the cost of, you know, what you should be selling pictures of your body for, which like, yeah, is true. Like back in the day, we never would have sold nudes for $15. But also that's not really the point of OnlyFans, is in the hopes that like enough people will buy that you do make a decent number of monies. But also, regardless, it's still somebody else's choice. Like, it's not, you know, if somebody wants to make the decision that, yeah, they're gonna give up nudes for, like, a very discounted, I suppose, price as compared to what they were priced back in the day, like, that's still their decision to make. And his argument started to morph a lot more into the conversation about dignity and self-respect, and y'all already know what I'm talking about. So there's that. So keep in mind, this man does not respect sex work at all, right? So tell me why. When I found out that A was cheating on B, he had a second phone and a second Instagram account, and she went through it, found all this shit, because she, you know, as you do, she got a little bit of feeling, and she was like, I'm feeling there's something suspicious going on, and she was right, and she found shit. But also, she went through his bank statements. Tell me why this man had subscribed to somebody's OnlyFans. He had paid for porn and also doesn't respect porn workers. Isn't that cray-cray? That's kind of like all the stuff I like listed down to talk about. But in general, this man was just like so fucking far up his own ass. And again, to continue their weird like flatting issues. So they broke up because of, you know, him basically cheating on her a bunch of times, and she was just finally over it. They moved into their new place for about a month before. That's my knowledge of the story. Obviously, I didn't really talk to them after we moved out, but from my knowledge, the plan was they were going to move in for about a month because they had already confirmed plans with this person, and then they were going to, she was going to move back home with her parents, and fuck knows what he was going to do. But he was basically complaining about, you know, her leaving him and like breaking up with him and shit. Because he was like, oh, you haven't even like brought up these issues with me so that I could fix them, and now I can't even fucking fix anything, like it's all over now. You're everything I have, like literally like the only person that I really like know in this part of town and this kind of shit. Like, then why did you like fuck around? Like, he obviously wasn't trying to say like, you mean the most to me, like you're the most important person to me here. He was just like saying, you're the only person that can like do shit for me here, because like obviously if he gave a fuck about her, and she was apparently the only person that he gave a fuck about around these areas, he wouldn't have done that shit. It was just so funny to me that, like, after all that, because he was, like, getting mad at her for, like, not being able to, like, communicate properly. As in, like, she just, like, a lot of people are like this. Like, I could tell she just, like, wasn't able to, like, formulate the words that she wanted to say. Or she just didn't fucking want to, because honestly, she doesn't have to. Either way, within the time frame of, like, the conversation and like, you know, this particular topic within the conversation, because like he just kept fucking talking, and it was just really funny to me that he was like getting mad at her and all this shit, because like even now, like, you don't see how you're the problem. Like, it's her fault for not saying all this shit and for not communicating. I don't think your partner should have to communicate that they don't want you to cheat on them 4 times. I don't think your partner should communicate to you that like, if you don't respect sex workers, then you shouldn't be paying for like sex work. And this guy was just like so far up his own ass. There was this one time where he was like complaining about the fact that his friend group was like almost like, you know, distancing themselves or whatever, or like basically like not kicking him out, but they're like not really keen to hang out with him. And he was like, I'm just like really confused because like literally the other day, like this person from the friend group, let's call him C told me that we were really like the leaders of the group. Whenever they hang out like without us, it's literally for like 30 minutes, but whenever it's like with us, it's like for like hours at a time. So I don't really understand like what's happening and why they don't want to hang out with us anymore, and like why they're like distancing themselves and like, you know, isolating us from the friend group. Obviously, I'm not a part of the friend group. Obviously, I only just got his side of the story. Obviously, like, I don't know. I just feel like if this many things happen, like, in such particular ways, like, you can't find places that want to house you. You can't find friends that want to keep you. You can't find a girlfriend that wants to keep you. Surely you're the problem. Because you think we wanted to just fuck around and move out a bunch of times? No, we wanted to stay where we were and like find somebody that could also stay with us, but like we didn't want to stay with them and we didn't really know how to like kick them out. So we were just like, okay, like fuck this, like the place isn't that great anyway, like it's a bit old. So might as well just up and leave. And we literally discussed this. We were like, okay, what if we just say we're moving out and then we just get somebody else to move in? That was like an option for us, and then we didn't actually go through with that option. But like it's just crazy. Like you think we dead ass want to just fuck other people around and like cycle through flatmates for shits and gigs? Like no, we want a stable home life. You were just not a part of our ideal stable home life, so fuck off.
Bye.